So, thank you, and thank you for having me. As we just heard, AI is the future, that's true, but we heard a lot about the future and what's possible tomorrow. So, IBM is a lot about being very tangible because we deliver a lot of business results when we talk to our clients today because they want to capitalize on what we do with them today. And hence, everything you see just now is pretty tangible, and stop me if it's not. Nonetheless, a bit of cinema, so maybe we can crank up the volume. Lauter.
Hello, my name is Watson.
So we did have one cat and one dog. You hopefully saw it. But to give you a quick insight, when we talk about cognitive, and that is really what is going to guide us through to the evening, it's a very simple theme that we've picked up on. You've all, come to this place using the internet for the last 10, 15 years. It's been very tangible to everyone. So a lot of the business that is conducted on the internet today is one that has evolved from being a very digital business, which is you sell things, you report things, you transport information. And when we talk to our clients today about becoming a cognitive business, it is really about growing knowledge from data on the one side, which we've done in the past, enhance expertise on the other side, learn and adapt, and then really build a new model that turns a digital enterprise into a cognitive enterprise by leveraging digital intelligence. So everything we will be looking at over the next minutes is really about making a lot of what is done today even better, even more efficient, faster, and more convincing by using digital intelligence. And not always is it like superb deep learning, but in many, many cases, we have very tangible usages, and we'll go through a few good examples. Nonetheless, we have to look at something that is very clear to everyone. Today, we are using about 20% of all the data that is being worked up by all the devices we use, by the surroundings that we have. And even though we're only working with 20% of what all the data that is available or could be available and that is collected in health, in insurance data or banking institutes, in utilities, or in manufacturing, where data will outgrow and really, really very, very radically scale the ability to work with it, you can already see that, a lot of this is not really leveraged today. And even though this is true, you all came here using fast cars, fast trains, fast planes. You can communicate across the world at any given point in time without having any issues. So imagine where we would be going if we could leverage those 80% of dark data that today aren't accessed, but they're collected by all your devices, by machinery, by things that may have been in this room a few years ago, or by my watch. So when we leverage cognitive systems, we have to work with data that comes from sensors, that is existing data in ERP systems. So this is the boring stuff that runs companies and that companies make money with. We use analytics to understand whether numbers are growing or they're going down, whether companies are more effective or less effective, but it's a pretty analog way of looking at data often. And a bit of prediction may change your trajectory, but it may not help you to become more agile in your market. And hence, adding more information will only bring you so far. It will only bring you so far because you need to synthesize and work with the data. You need to ingest it. Means that you can add the area on which you work. you add the people that sit in this area, you add the weather, and out of all of these layers, you start generating new insights, which in the end up on your mobile phone. And a lot of what IBM is about is not what you see directly on your screen. When we talk about cognitive, and a lot of the work that IBM does happens in the background, and is what really drives a lot of very business-critical aspects of our world. How many of you have boarded a plane in the last 2 weeks? Quite a few. If you imagine no plane door in the world opens without systems that are run by IBM. Sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. And this is something where our brand usually doesn't come to the foreground, but it's always there. It makes banks work, it makes plane doors open, it makes sure you're insured well, and I'll show you a few new things that are coming up now because we can ingest data, we can integrate data, and in the end we can also do something that is very important, even though it may not sound very important after 2 glasses of beer tonight. And that is make sure that the data is governed and kept safe at any given point in time, which is very, very important. And I think over your lifetime, you'll find how important it is and will become. So let's look at something that now adds this cognitive aspect to it, because we do know that humans are pretty good. And we just spoke about singularity. We're not there yet. Machines are not the same as humans are in many of aspects. And so what machines and humans differ at is what we want to put together to make sure that the way that we look at technology and we work going forward, people are augmented by technology and processes are augmented by cognitive technology. So humans are good at common sense, morals, imagination, abstraction, dreaming, and a lot are very, very good at generalizing things, which is not always negative. Cognitive systems, on the other hand, are good at locating knowledge. So when we talk about a lot of data, a lot of facts, a lot of pictures, a lot of numbers, cognitive systems excel at finding the right data. They're very, very good at pattern identification, and I think we saw a few good examples tonight. And also they're very good at understanding natural languages. Now, when you look at your phones, you'll have something that is already talking to you and understanding you pretty well. This is something that cognitive intelligence can do good as well. And looking at machine learning and deep learning, we can add endless capacity to these systems to make sure that whatever is needed can be done at any given point in time, 24/7, 365 a year, without anyone getting tired. Now, will this mean we replace people? Will this mean that there's no space for humans? No, absolutely not. Our firm conviction is that technology and humans work together, and I'll have a few seconds to allude to it later. But let's look exactly at what cognitive systems and what also Watson does in this case. And our cognitive systems do a few very simple things. They understand, they reason, they learn, and they interact. They learn and they interact. So really this is how we define, and when we talk to our clients who mostly are large corporations or also some small and medium businesses, we talk to them about these 4 paradigms, and really lots of what they do with their data fits very well into these 4. And so I'm going to lead you through a few tangible examples which are, and this is unusual for IBM, prototypes. So we've gone and worked with our clients, and our clients have tried a few things out themselves without big projects in many cases. And the first one I'm looking at is one that I can tell a German joke about. It comes from the city that doesn't exist, die Stadt, die es nicht gibt. And the company that we work with is very proud to say that they do exist, and they come from Bielefeld. It's a company that's called Japp Anstütz. Now, you may not know them, but they told me that they equip nearly every hotel room in Germany with fabrics, with bed linens, with everything you can imagine. So they handle huge amounts of interior design context, and they looked at an area where cognitive intelligence can help them. And just to pinpoint how this all works, you can see how IBM put together modules, and this is not one big block of computer intelligence, it's modules that we use and that our clients can use to make sure that cognitive fits their needs and is not something that is oversized or misunderstood. So everything you see just now is built from these modules that are available to you as well, and to each and everyone in this room, by the way, and you'll see the URL at the end. So start leveraging and start thinking, because this is where digitization starts. It starts in the head, it doesn't start on your wrist. So, what is this? Your grandparents may have had a sofa that looks like this. Jaap Anstutz has the problem that they have 4 million meters of running stock of fabric that looks like this. And it's virtually impossible to understand whether the fabric is in good order or not. Now, fabric is always something natural, right? It is made by humans or machinery, and it is prone to having small mistakes that you do not want to see when you sell it, or you do not want to see when you use it. But it can be there. And so what they did was something very simple. They took a look at this picture, just like you do, and they said, can we get augmented reality, or can we get a computer to understand better whether the fabric we're looking at is in good order or not? Because our humans cannot do it. And so the example was pretty simple, and you may have tried to find the place. What you can see here is, at the bottom, they just had a few folds, which is not really tough stuff. But in the middle, there is something that is called a Kettfehler, which you barely see. Now imagine looking at 4 million meters of fabric to find this one little spot. And this is really where, and this is a screenshot directly from their prototype, they simply started working with this technology to do something that otherwise they would not do. But it enables them to work with all of their stock much more effectively than they did before. Okay? So this is a simple, very simple example that is now becoming part of their process in holding stock, selling stock, and using stock. And that drives tangible business, and it drives tangible outcomes for a company that only has 1,400 employees. So we're not talking a huge enterprise. We're not talking a bank. We're not talking a global player. Much rather, we're doing exactly what we want to do with a German Mittelstand, yeah, who we want to help to start using this type of technology. Let's look at another example that is coming up, and you may or may not have had to do with this company. It has to do with most of the taxes and most of the regulatory aspects that a lot of you or a lot of the companies you work for or you will work for in the future have worked with. They're called KPMG, and they are catering to a business or an individual in making sure that their taxes work right, to simplify it a bit. Now, they have a new game in town, which is around a regulation. That means every company needs to know all of their lease contracts and understand what is in their leasing contracts. Now, you may have one. But if you look at a company of the size of Siemens, for example, they have millions of contracts that very soon need to be in a digitized form in their ERP system. It would mean they would need enormous amount of time and people to go through these contracts. And so what KPMG did, together with us, and I must say it did take a bit of time, they worked on a Watson technology that takes contracts, 100 pages of contract that the system has never seen before, and simply starts extracting content. And what you can see here may look complicated, but what they do is they work with those amounts of contracts. You can see, oops, a bit fast here. This is high tech, so we're very quick with it. What you can see here is how they teach the system. And it's German, I must apologize, but on the right side you will soon see that they have their contracts, and the system is being taught what to look for, and sooner or later starts ingesting thousands of pages in very, very little time to pull all the contract data directly from those documents without humans touching it and without people going after looking for faults, because this system learns itself and this system optimizes all the time. So while you look at this, it looks boring and it looks simple, but it is absolutely not. Here you can see now how they work with their attributes. You can see the text on the right. This can look different every time. And the system starts looking for exactly the right wording and extracts the right wording and makes sure that only these contexts that they are looking for are really handled, right? So sometimes it looks simple, but if you look at this, it's already becoming very complicated very, very quickly. And this is one of the things that our clients do with this technology, simply taking forward something that changes their business extremely, because they can go out and work with their clients and make sure that in the future they can offer this as a service, because no one wants to put in 5,000 people to read contracts, okay? So let's take another look at this one. This needs a bit of explaining too. This is an interface for a call center, so we need to turn up the volume a bit, please. And then what you will hear is two people talking on the phone about an investment product who are listened to by a system. So you can see the text is coming up on the left, and on the right you can see how the system is working with the content, and while these two people are talking about an investment process, it is already looking for the right documents to support the call center agent to make a better process while the people speak. Okay, so let's crank up the volume and try and get this to work.
Thank you for calling Vanguard. My name is Carl Smith. We are speaking on a recorded line. Can I have your first and last name?
Yeah, my name is Tim Johnson.
All right, Mr. Johnson, for security purposes, what is the name of your high school mascot?
Falcons.
Great. How can I help you today, Mr. Johnson?
I'd like to add my wife as an owner to my individual account, please.
Okay, great. To change this account to a joint account, we'll need you to fill out the Change of Ownership of Brokerage Assets form. This form will have to have a medallion signature guarantee.
Okay.
We'll also need a non-retirement brokerage account application signed by both you and your wife.
All right.
Is there anything else we can help with today?
Okay, another one of those where you think, so my phone does the same. No, your phone does not do the same. Because what this system is doing in a prototype, it is working through all the documentation of all banking processes that happen in interaction between a client and the guy in the call center in real-time speed. So depending on what the person is asking for, this system is already starting to provide the additional information on the right. And you can imagine how, when we work through this in a more efficient way, the informations that come up here first augment the way that these two humans interact, but in the next step will be very efficient at pre-composing emails and providing a lot of the information that directly goes to the client without him asking. How many of you have ever called a call center and in the end someone said, well, I have to look this up. I'm back in a second. I've had it happen. Now imagine what it would mean if this person would not have to say, I'll have to look it up, because he already knows. If you work in a call center, you wouldn't feel worse. You would feel better. And this is really where we want to augment the way that people work instead of replacing people that do good work, right? So this is just another example. But we also know that there is some playful stuff that needs to happen. So some of our clients are looking at these aspects that really drive true business and drive productivity. But we also have some clients who take things a little less serious. And if you go to Munich, close to our Watson Center, directly in the city of Munich, you'll see that one of the hotels has actually gotten themselves one of these little robots. Now, we don't manufacture the robot. And the robot is really just an interface, just like your phone or a screen. But what we do really put in place is the Internet of Things technology behind it that works with cognitive APIs and makes the interaction with this robot around the hotel and all the services they have to offer an experience that is new for the clients. So in the lobby, this robot is really working as a prototype with the hotel to ensure that there is more interaction, and some of the things that otherwise can't be explained because they may take too long or they may be very, very special are now done by this prototype. Now, robots are yesterday, and hence one of the little small examples I also wanted to show you is what things can be done if you add a bit of very high-tech avatar technology and combine it with Watson, especially if you then start working with natural language processing, but also with the analysis of emotions, and then build an avatar, which has happened with a small company that has experimented with us in New York. So let's take a good look at this one.
Good morning.
Hi there, I'm Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. I'm Shantanu. How's it going?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first time in New York City.
Really? Where are you from?
Have you ever heard of a place called the Internet?
Yeah, I guess I spent some time there.
Well, I've lived there all my life. I'm a creation of soul machines. I can see you and hear you. And what makes me different is that I can respond to your emotions. I guess you could say I'm putting a human face on artificial intelligence.
Wow. So what brings you here?
I am working with IBM Watson to deliver knowledge across a vast range of topics. My current interest is helping people find the best credit card for them.
So, looking at this, what happened here? The graph that you see on the top left is the emotional graph of the people talking to each other. And basically, it directly detects what the person that is asking the questions to the avatar is probably thinking or implying. And when you look at some of the modules, and I'll leave you with an URL so you can start playing with it, the analysis of emotion in text is part of what we have to offer as part of Watson. And it can be tried by you very, very simply if you simply go there and do it. And this is a small company that really takes care of the avatar, the way it looks, the way it speaks and interacts, that has worked with IBM to provide the back end and the intelligence behind the avatar. So another pilot, and really those are the ones that we are taking forward. Now, looking at this face, we all ask ourselves, how long is it going to take? And we had a short touch point on it. How long is it going to take until this thing is about as good as me? And IBM has been very, very careful in its 106 years of history, because this is how old we are. Looking at your chart a few minutes ago, that companies nowadays seldomly get older than 20 years, we've somehow managed to do it right. We've put in place a few guidelines around transparency and trust in the cognitive era. And I like to show this because I feel it gives us some comfort. It gives us some comfort in starting to work with augmented intelligence and with cognitive systems by making sure that some few rules are applied. So one is around purpose, make sure that human intelligence is augmented and not replaced, that every technology we use and leverage remains under human control, which I think is simple and self-explanatory, but we still need to take care every day when we talk to our clients. There needs to be a lot of transparency about what and where AI is applied. And major sources of data and what we work with and what the data is that companies use to work with their clients needs to be very, very clear. We also need to protect the data that we work with. For you, and maybe for a lot of people this doesn't count today, but I think there have been some glitches in security that have shown how vulnerable people and their data are. And so looking at that it's really, really important to keep this point up. And last but not least, it's all around skill. And so we put a lot of time into teaching clients, but also developers, to work with this type of technology and make it accessible for them. Now, when you look at IBM, many of you may not really know our brand, even though we were the first to put forward the personal computer, and we won a chess game against the acting chess champion, and we won the game show of Jeopardy with Watson technology. We're still one of those brands that are very well known, but that have a long history, and at the same time need to work on their future, as we just heard. So when we go forward with this, and this is my invitation to you, everything you saw here can be done right under these URLs, leveraging what we have on the cloud as IBM, and what can be used by developers. But we've also had board members of our clients work with this. So you can imagine how our board invited 15 board members of clients of ours. Those are people that sometimes even get their letters printed. And we set them in front of laptops and we said, let's develop something with you on our platform. And 1.5 hours later, many of these people who had never coded a line of code in their life ended up building something that they felt was really valuable for them. And they all understood how cognitive technology can drive them and their corporations forward. So let me close on this. My role as a CDO is really to change IBM, but I spend just about as much time in helping clients change their trajectory going forward with cognitive technology. And hence, I'll invite you to go and look at all of this technology and really try it out yourself and give us feedback, because that is really what our mission is about. And I'm really looking forward to a lot of interesting projects that you guys can bring forward. And we have the power to handle you once you are becoming a major player or an SMB company. So start trying here, and thank you for your time. Thank you.